Jordan going to do anything today or tomorrow?
You know, he threw a little bit yesterday. I think we'll test him again, but you probably will not see him in any practice reps.
Is that poorly for Saturday, or is that still to be determined?
It's still day to day, but you know, we'll give him every opportunity. We just don't want to ever put him in a situation where it, you know, could make it worse.
What'd you like in Jake that you decided to bring him back?
Well, certainly there's a comfort level there because he's been in our building and he understands it, what we're all about, and how we coach. He knows he's got a little bit of, I would say, familiarity with our scheme and our system and the language, and that's usually one of the hardest things to kind of get guys up to speed with, is just being able to spit out the plays and whatnot. So I think that definitely helped his cause. But he's a big guy that has, incredible arm strength and a lot of power, and so we'll let him go out there today and see how he does.
What's the biggest thing you're hoping to get out of these next 2 days here with another team on the practice field?
I just think it's great from a competition standpoint to go out there and compete against somebody else and kind of see where you stack up. And these guys get sick of hitting each other every day, the same guys, and you kind of, throughout practice, you get such a familiarity with who you're going up against, and so it's nice just to kind of, see a different face in front of you, a different technique, a different system. There's a lot of similarities, really, in all three phases in terms of some of the coverage stuff we do with some of the coverage stuff they do, but our fronts are totally different. And there's obviously, from an offensive standpoint, the foundation is the same, but we have different players, we have different styles. So there is a lot of familiarity, but I think there's going to be enough of a difference that it'll be really good for our guys, not only to just kind of test their rules, their knowledge, because it's not like there's a lot of game planning going on.
Aaron not having any preseason snaps, these would seem to be some pretty important days for him to get ready. What's the plan for him, and is there any dialogue or compromise with him on these days, given his feelings about them?
I don't know what you're talking about, Ryan. No, yeah, first of all, there's always a lot of dialogue with him in terms of, hey, what would you like to try or test, or if we need a specific situation, whether it's red zone, third down, just whatever it may be. So, yeah, there was a lot of dialogue leading up to this in terms of what we exactly wanted to get out of it.
What is it that you want to get out of it?
I mean, it's without giving too much away. There's some pretty cool pressure packages that the Jets do that test a lot of some of our rules, and so I told Salah and those guys over there, don't hold back, man. And it's a little bit different because typically when you're going into a game plan, you have your protection meeting with everybody in the room, with your O-line, your backs, tight ends, quarterbacks, all the coaches. And it's not like we didn't necessarily do that for this. So it really does truly test your rules. And it's going to be great for some of our young players that, haven't really been in that situation with him before. Josh, and you'll see Royce running there in there with the ones today. So I just think that there's going to be a lot of benefits that come out of this.
Matt, on a personal level, having your brother, one of your best friends on the other side for joint practices, do you ever stop and kick yourself and look back at where you guys started and now where you're at, having a joint practice against each other?
No, but you just made me think of it, Dave. So, yeah, it is pretty cool. Shoot, I can remember when, Saul and I were at Central Michigan together, and my brother was in high school with his girlfriend at the time, which is now his wife, Lauren, and we'd all be going over to Doozy's, the ice cream shop together. So it is a long way from Mount Pleasant.
Will your new corner be practicing today?
Yeah, Isaac?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm expecting him to, yes.
What do you guys guys like about him, and what kind of went into that swap there?
Yeah, it's just a chance to look at somebody else, but he's a big physical corner, and we'll try to implement him as quickly as possible and get him ingrained in what we're trying to get done, and we'll give him a chance to go out there and compete.
Man, in your experience, has there been just guys that have made change of sceneries that it's just helped turn things around for them?
Yeah, I think that can be the case for a lot of guys. So I think, I appreciate everything Josh has done. He's a great young man, and certainly we wish him well, and it'll be nice for him. He's got a familiar face there with Patrick Graham as the D coordinator with the Giants, who I got a lot of respect for. I think he's a really good coach, but it'll be great for Jacko to get an opportunity to go there and compete.
Is this year, to me, this camp, a big story maybe we should think more about is how many players you've got out there that haven't played in a year and a half or 2 years in a game because of various circumstances. And when you're trying to figure out snaps, does that factor into your mind like, man, this is going to take more snaps for us to see what this guy is really like in a football game? Yeah,
certainly. I mean, that's why I think you got to take advantage of every opportunity, whether it's in practice or in those preseason games that we're fortunate to have now, to get a great evaluation and see where these guys are.
Matt, do you and Robert, do you have to coordinate, for instance, when you're going to go with 3 or 4 wide so he can match, or do you do that? Do you like to do it on the run like it was a game in this situation?
Well, we will have a move the ball period today, but that's something, yes, as far as the personnels are concerned, that's something that we basically give them the down and distance and what personnel we're going to be in, and how they match it, I really don't know. I can't wait to find out. But
the best part about it is that you don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And conversely, my brother Mike sent Joe Barry the D&Ds and the personnel, and then we match it accordingly. So it is. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot of communication, coordination to make sure that the practice runs smoothly.
All right, let's go to Zoom. Sarah, go ahead.
Yep, we have 3 in here. Bill Huber.
Hey, Matt, this is actually kind of right along the lines of what Spoon just asked you. Just logistically, how difficult is this to pull off? I'm guessing the idea of joint practices is pretty easy, but the pulling off must be a lot of work, isn't it, to get what you want done and what they want to get done and get that all coordinated?
Yeah, there's just a lot of collaboration, and it's easy when you communicate with, people that you're so close with. You can kind of have a lot of back and forth. I thought going through it a couple years ago certainly kind of gave us an outline with Houston in terms of how we wanted to format it, and it's a similar format. We changed a couple of the situations, and certainly you always learn from some of your mistakes that you made along the way. Like I mentioned earlier this week with some of the special teams things. So, but I think we're excited about it, and I think it's going to be really good for both teams.
Steve McGarty.
You talked about having a whole lot of family members in town for this event. I was just wondering, will you and your brother, you and Robert have a chance to get together at any point during this next 3 days other than on the practice field in the stadium, or is it pretty much stick to business?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's time, especially with how these rules with how many hours you can have your players nowadays. Training camp is not like certainly the days of the old or when I first got into this league, but so there's time in the evenings for us to kind of chit chat and get together. And his family's staying at my house, so I'm sure I'll see him more than I want to.
And last one, Aaron Nagler.
Coach, Steno mentioned a lack of juice and or energy up front from your young offensive linemen on Saturday night. Do the next 2 days, obviously you got to get a lot of work in with your ones, but do the next 2 days give those young players an opportunity to fire off the ball, maybe work a little bit more on the run game so you can maybe have a better production on Saturday?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. And it's a different style of defense, which will be good for us. This is a hard front to block. I mean, just the way these guys come off the football. It's a very sound defense as well. So, it'll be a great test for us, in terms of just being able to capture some of these combinations that we're always trying to do in our zone scheme.